Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter. Last episode...
We ate a bajillion amount of ice cream.
Yes. Basically what I remember from it. That didn't change at all.
Eating ice cream didn't increase our relationship level.
That's crazy.
I like that his relationship with Luke is like in the hole.
Oh, wow, yeah, it's really... Him and Marianne really low.
Who cares about Marianne?
Interesting. All right.
Not a fan of her.
So anyway, let's see. What's going on here?
The potatoes are almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case. You might want to check on them, though. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep rapping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash.
Oh, good. You're awake.
No, it is Ash. Okay.
It's Ashhole.
Ash has already welcomed himself inside when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never been really keen on the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow, though. Maybe a tad standoffish at first glance, but he's trustworthy.
Don't you have work today?
I could ask the same of you. Hey, Z-Man.
You're late. Something came up? You need to drop the Z-Man. It's getting old.
Sorry, I got caught up with something at the precinct on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'd tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kinds of things. Later, maybe.
And you're here because...
What? I'm not allowed to say hello?
Suspicious.
I'm checking up on you.
I doubt you're here because of that. And you're not answering my question.
Ah, my bad. Forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night.
You could have called my cell instead.
You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabella, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way.
Wait, we're going now?
He lightly claps a hand on her arm and begins ushering her out of the apartment.
Wait, but my breakfast.
Yeah, throwing a casual wave at me as they pass. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea. And sure enough, before they can even cross the threshold, she puts a firm foot down, the force alone enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture. The way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabella giving him an indignant pout over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are in his face all at once, two things that rarely ever grace it if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I have my camera with me. Dang.
I like it, but yours better. If only if I had my dang camera with me.
What is it?
Yeah.
Zach cooked something.
If it's just food, I'll get you something on the way back.
Wow.
But he went through all the trouble.
Yeah.
But the food! It's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food.
That one.
At least stay and have a bite. Please, Zach, help me here.
These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes it feels like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they're engaged in a pleasant chit-chat, the next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better, and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Ooh. Never mind how utterly impossible that idea is, right? Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always.
There's a love triangle. Becca like Ash. Ash likes Bella. I don't think Bella likes anyone. Maybe Zachary.
Maybe.
I don't think she likes Ash that way.
Maybe. It's hard to tell. Because, I mean, like, our only interactions with those two, we were controlling Isabella, so I don't know how that works.
She didn't let on that she was falling for either one of them, but she seemed friendlier to Zach, to be fair.
Could be. I can already hear Ash's laughter if I so much as suggest such. This, however... So,
I think you're going to get points with Bella if you do the first one.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to lose point with Ash if you do the top one. But you'll get points with them if you do the bottom.
Okay, so what do we do?
I don't know. Zach's personality to me is always like, he doesn't want to be a bother, so it's the I know you're busy.
That's kind of where I was leaning towards. Because I feel like that's what, based on what we've seen of Zach, I feel like that's what he would say. I don't think he would be upset in the least. You wanna go with that one?
Yeah.
It's okay. I know you're busy.
Oh, that didn't help with either of them. Interesting. You know, I almost thought that
I think we're
Zach
bad.
might say something, just noticing like how hesitant Isabella is.
I feel like we never pick right.
We never pick right, no.
We're terrible at picking these.
After all, handling organized crime cases ain't exactly what one can call an easy job. It's understandable the lack of time, his undeterred focus on his work. This has been a goal for him, I was told long ago. A childhood dream of sorts. Although I admit the disappointment is there. A small part of my person is looking forward to spending time with what few friends I have. This is something they wouldn't be able to give at the moment. We've each got our own lives to live.
Sorry about this, Zach. I should have come earlier, but you know how things go back there when shit hits the fan. It becomes messy.
It happens sometimes. Now, I do have spare containers with me here, though. At least bring some of what we cooked with you. I wouldn't be able to eat all of it alone anyway. It'd just be a waste. There's even enough here for Rebecca.
I don't have to go with him, though. I can stay. I'll just go home later. Catch a bus or something.
I answer her offer with a small smile of my own. Does she realize that unconsciously, in her own little way, she's taken it upon herself to look after the people surrounding her? Like her own family in place of... No, never in place, but an extension of what she has miles away.
Nah, it's cool. I need to be off somewhere soon. So, it's a good thing Ash arrived when he did. At least that way you won't be alone.
In the company of another person, she'll be safer. From her thoughts, from her own self.
If you insist. And thanks for letting me stay the night.
Hey, no problem. But you should really call if you want to drop by next time. I could be out.
I don't plan to make a habit out of it, but I'll keep that in mind.
Let me just pack this up for you two, alright? It'll just be a minute.
Each right, 11 a.m.
My hand pauses short of pulling one of the many empty food containers out the cupboard.
What?
Ash has taken off the post-it note I've recently
Oh, it's
stick
his
to
appointment.
the refrigerator door. Although from this angle, it appears more like the note itself has done him a world of wrong, and now he's glaring at it more than reading it.
Oh yeah, I got that one a few days ago. They wanted magazine features of the new home.
Ermengarde Mansion.
Something. The same one Isabella sold.
Wow, they sure don't waste any time. I was just finalizing their papers for final approval last night.
You sure about this?
Nah, I've had worse. Also, it pays a lot for one-time work. Can't exactly complain when it's like that. Why?
He doesn't comment on it further. He simply sticks the note back in its place among the mess of papers and receipts on the fridge and casually stuffs both his hands on his pockets. His eyebrows, however, are drawn together in a small frown. Ash may not say anything on it, but I'm quite sure there's something in his mind he simply can't voice out, likely due to present company. He stays wholly silent after. Packing for 3 people doesn't take long, and all too soon I'm leading the 2 of them out the doorway. A small paper bag swings in Isabella's hand when she makes her way out, giving me a casual wave as she takes the flight of steps down ahead of her companion. Ash, however, lags behind.
Go on, you can tell me.
I'm sure you know what you're getting into, but try not to get too involved with that couple.
That's good advice.
Relax. I doubt they'll even remember me after this. I'm just a photographer passing by, nothing more.
Uh-huh.
Though it'd be nice to get a regular client. Easy on the pockets, of course.
Find some other one after this. Not them. Never them. Luxborn's big enough.
What do you know?
Interesting.
Okay, if it'll make you feel better.
He doesn't look completely convinced by my answer, but he nods nevertheless and claps a hand on my shoulder on his way out. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the fridge nearby. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Guard Mansion, Hannah Wright, H. Wright, 11 a.m. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold different meaning now. The next 2 days rush by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up in new unexpected acquaintances, or friends. Depends on how you look at it, really.
Is he humming? So we already did the photo shoot.
We did the photo shoot.
And we already went to the party.
And we already, yeah. So we've already seen where he's holding the camera and...
Right, so is he developing these photos?
Oh, that'd be cool. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set
Why would you do it at 3 in the morning?
by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing in the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. In between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Wait, so no, this has to be before the party then.
Why?
Because if he's calling them good folk after all that drama, I don't think so.
Maybe he doesn't buy into drama.
Could be. Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal, but just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although, with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have even ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beat quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one for tonight. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff that is. It's bad for the business no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles, always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind, too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools in a drawer with the other.
Don't touch it.
The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night. God.
What on earth?
Whoa.
Oh.
That wasn't what I was expecting.
No.
But, whew. So you can see the hands around her neck.
Sort of, and like her face is distorted. Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. It has happened before. Loads of times, actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks. One cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? With how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me. For Miss Wright.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something I saw. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And while blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense then when the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Man, Ash has, like, not been super open-minded, but he seems to respect Zach.
Right.
I feel like... I also feel like we can trust Hana, though, but I know, like... It might just make it seem like we messed up the photos.
Right. I'm for Ash.
I know. It pains me to say it, and we're probably wrong because we've been awful at this.
Right.
But... Ash will give me flack for this, he will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this moment, the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy's a skeptic through and through, and I'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns.
Why wouldn't he bring it up to Isabel?
That's what I was wondering. I thought it was going to be between Ash and Isabella. And no, hero, that's a title best reserved for someone else. Still, if this will help him change his mind, it's worth a try. Isabella's gone and done the same thing, didn't she? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I still got a few hours before dawn, good enough time to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Okay.
Oh.
Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and one visit to his flat later. I still have no idea which rock in Luxborn he went off to hide under again. The guy has his own place but refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone, but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up at my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really.
Does he have a ghost in his house?
Oh, it could be. Shirley's the ghost. There's a police precinct, of course. And again, he's not there most of the time either, and if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and polite nod.
Do they seriously have like their drunk tank or whatever they're holding thing like right up front?
Looks like.
It's kind of odd.
Well, it's maybe small town, not in a lot of space to work with. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like their receptionist, who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, Never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the fourth one yesterday.
Oh, God.
Murders, people missing. What a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crossed his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice.
That's fair.
What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keeping in contact maybe?
It might be an emergency.
When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord.
Timmy could be stuck in the well. We need your help.
Yeah. What's gonna happen to Timmy? He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only, when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes? Anyway,
Blame it
why
on
are you
that.
here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
It was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Some friend.
Look, about that, there's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. Thought he was going to shoot him a
It's that
dirty
same
look.
restaurant.
As expected, he takes a seat in the furthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes, secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. Another. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later.
Ooh.
I like the detailed pictures of the food.
Look at the coffee cup art. Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's cool. A slice of their vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for
I was
lunch?
gonna say that cake looks delicious.
He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse.
I mean, he is very, very thin.
Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
No, we're just all scared of her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of two kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles. At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something.
Okay.
Wait, that's
Can you
easy, right?
boil?
I mean, you just put water in and...
I'm not too confident about this anymore.
No. I was like, all right, he can do spaghetti. I don't know about that.
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it.
Oh my god.
I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessment.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
Ooh, what? Huh? But I don't know anything.
You're right, yeah, we don't have the information.
How can I say she's married to one if I don't know her?
I feel like this one loses us points with Ash. Like, that's just...
I don't understand this question.
I don't either.
Why is this a choice?
Do you want to just go with that one?
Sure.
You do know she's married to one now.
Okay. We at least made a good choice. Because, yeah, I felt like the other one was just going to antagonize him.
I just don't understand what the point of that was.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
That'll show you.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day, and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment.
Oh my god.
I love
You
this.
should come by, though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot that one topic. One thing he never ever brings up in any conversation if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the
Still
air.
no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. And well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints of the same thing, Mrs. Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family
Are you
history.
done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it. Like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
I really had kind of hoped that...
These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hannah.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hannah? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Not
That's
the
what you
point.
take in?
Why does that even matter?
Yeah.
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is as clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does.
I feel like I want to say that's not the point here.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to make that decision in the next episode.
I feel like these questions are kind of dumb. These ones.
Yeah, some of them are a little hard to see what they're getting at. Here, I at least understand what he's going for, because Ash seems to think they're like locked up in something pretty big. So I think it makes sense that he would want Zach to stay away.
Sounds right.
So we'll have to see what we decide to do in the next episode. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.